When you think of a good, high-paying job, you probably think of something like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, jobs like that. But rarely do people think of federal government jobs. The argument I usually hear against federal government jobs is they do not pay the same as private sector jobs, especially in the tech sector. Private sector will reward you more. So what I want to do is I want to look at averages, national averages, and compare government jobs with private sector jobs. Let's start with administrative type jobs. So for the private sector, we're looking at companies like Google, Microsoft, and Amazon. There are a lot of administrative jobs around the country, but I want to start with one of the basic ones, administrative assistant. You can find this type of job in almost any company. So how much do they get paid? At Google, it is $62,000 a year. At Microsoft, it is $65,000 a year. And at Amazon, it is $47,000 a year. Now, keep in mind, these are averages. It's going to vary depending on your location and depending on the exact office in which you are working in. Now, if we look at the federal government, administrative jobs are typically in the 0301 job series and the 0303 job series. Let's jump on USAjobs.gov and see how much the average is. The most common GS grade for an administrative assistant is GS7, and the pay is between $49,000 and $63,000 a year, with the median being $55,000 a year. Now, if you are looking for federal government employment, I would encourage you to go to federal hiring events. You can do these virtually. You can do them in the comfort of your own home, on your couch, on your kitchen table. Every week, there are events you can attend. If you want me to email you a list every week, then sign up to the free newsletter down below. So GS7 is the average for administrative assistant in the federal government. There are higher opportunities, GS11, GS12, those exist in certain locations, especially larger cities, DC, Chicago, New York. You can find a GS12 admin assistant making over six figures, that exists. If you just look at the averages here between private sector and public sector, they're about the same. But I would give the edge to the government job. And the reason why is a lot of these positions, they have a built-in promotion ladder. Every 12 months, you're eligible to get promoted to the next grade. Now let's shift focus and look at tech jobs, IT jobs. In this case, cybersecurity. That's in demand no matter where you're at. You're in the private sector, public sector, you're in a different country, everybody wants cybersecurity. So how much would that pay? Well, at Google, it pays $208,000 a year. Microsoft, it's $190,000 a year. Amazon is $118,000 a year. In the federal government for cybersecurity, that would be classified as a 2210. You'd find all the IT jobs there. The most common grade for cybersecurity specialist is a GS13. And the next common grade for cybersecurity is GS14. But let's go ahead and take a look at how much a GS13 can make in government. In most locations, a GS13 makes between $103,000 and $134,000 a year, with a median salary being $117,000 a year. But what you have to consider in all government jobs, there will be a FERS deduction. FERS is essentially your pension. After 5 years, you're fully vested, you get a pension for the rest of your life. You can start collecting it at about 60, 62, some cases 57. You have to pay into that. If you join the government now, if you get into the government right now, it's 4.4%. That comes out of your salary. So it's not really $117,000, it's probably more like $111,000. And that's before taxes come out. So you got your state, your federal, your payroll, all that stuff comes out. So it ends up being a lot less. On the private side, you're likely to see larger bonuses. Now in the government, this is a misconception that some people have. You do get performance bonuses. That is a thing. It happens. But it's not as big. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're a GS13, GS12, GS13. Into the fiscal year, you could get a bonus of, let's say, $2,000 to $3,000, depending on what you're rated as, depending on how much money the agency has. But I would say a common bonus is between $2,000 and $3,000. If you're a GS14, GS15, you could probably get, I would say, in between $3,000 and $5,000. And this is before taxes. Taxes come out, you probably get closer to $3,000, $3,500, $3,500. If you're a senior executive, your bonus will be in the five figures. It will be $10,000, $12,000, $13,000, $15,000. So that's how bonuses work in the government. Private sector, you can see a lot larger bonuses. I talked to some people, some friends of mine that are in the private sector. They're getting $25,000, $30,000 end of year bonuses. Once again, keep in mind that this comparison, this is done with averages. So you can find IT positions, software developer, for example. You can find a position that'll pay you over $300,000 in the private sector. Over $300,000, and then let's go ahead and throw some stock options on there as well. In the government, your salary pretty much tops out at $191,000 a year. There are some exceptions if you're on another pay band. Let's say you're an FAA or you're in the VA or FDIC. There are exceptions where the salary goes over $200,000. Same thing if you're an executive, your salary goes over $200,000. But if you're a GS employee, which makes up 70% of the federal government, you top out at $191,000. Another huge difference you should keep in mind when considering whether you should go private or public is the hiring process. I mean, look at the private sector. Most private sector companies, look at Google, look at Amazon. It takes up to 3 weeks to get you onboarded. Most of the time, 3 weeks, boom, you're in. Federal government, you're not getting anything done in 3 weeks. You're lucky to hear back from a referral in 3 weeks. You're looking at 4 to 6 months. So it's going to take a lot longer. And this is one of the reasons why younger people do not have the patience to wait 4 to 6 months. But if you're looking for a sense of security, job stability, the peace of mind of knowing whether if there's an economic downturn, a recession, a depression, whatever comes, you're somewhat insulated. You will be receiving that paycheck. You will have that income that you can rely upon so you can provide for your family. That is there in a government job. Now, the perspective of society largely is we glamorize the tech companies, mainly because we see it everywhere. We use it, right? You jump on Google to do a search, so Google is top of mind. You get on Amazon to make a purchase, so Amazon is top of mind. We view these companies in a positive light. But when we look at the government, what are we doing with the government? We're paying taxes. We have long wait times to talk to anybody from the IRS or from the SSA. Customer service is horrible. So we have a negative impression on public sector jobs. There's also the perception of the lazy government worker that's not doing their responsibilities and jobs, and they're leeching off of the taxpayer. So when you become a federal employee, that's going to be on you whether you lean into one stereotype or the other. But I would encourage you, no matter where you're at, continue to challenge yourself, push your comfort zone, push your boundaries, chase after better opportunities, and let your work speak for you. Let that be your calling card. Whatever you do, do it well. Let your reputation be known throughout the office as somebody who is high energy, high productivity. If you are still looking for a federal government job, you should know the federal hiring process, the different steps and stages as you progress through the federal hiring process, from applying to receiving your job offer. If you're interested in that, I want you to watch this video next. If you would like to see more videos like this, please click like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.